Good morning to all of you. First of all, I thank Global Dialogue Forum, Mr. Moses for inviting me for this session and Mr. Pierrick for this opportunity. Thank you, distinguished speakers, and we have August gathering here with all the eminent personalities. I think I'm the odd one out representing the industry here. Just before I get into the topic, the adapting global sustainability values to domestic industries. So I would like to set the context. So before going to the subject, I just want to explain about our company Value. Value is a global automotive supplier to the OEMs. With a diverse product portfolio in powertrain systems, thermal systems, lighting, and comfort and driving assistance, which is ADAS and auto park solutions. As you all know that there is a massive transformation happening in the automotive industries towards greener, safer, and smarter mobility. And Value has invested in the last decade significantly on R&D, and the investments have gone in to be future ready for all these transformation, particularly on electrification. So climate change and environment degradation is an existential threat to the entire world. So Value's worldwide commitment is in line with the European Green Deal, which is to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions by 2050 and limit the global warming to less than 1.5 degrees. So if you look into we have the sustainability in our DNA. Our CEO committed to be carbon neutral by 2050, and out of this, 45% of the reduction will happen by 2030. And coming to the Indian context, as His Excellency Ambassador also mentioned, the COP26, our Indian Prime Minister pledged that we will be carbon neutral by 2050. And out of this, 45% reduction will happen by 2030. So when we talk about carbon neutral, we also need to talk about the renewable energy. Today, our renewable energy in India is 121 gigawatts, which is 29% of the total energy. But if you see the targets that is set by the government for 2030, we will go up to 500 gigawatts of renewable energy, and that is almost 4 times of the current levels, which is a significant jump. And also the solar energy is 5 times by 2030. So this is a very important thing, and renewable energy will be 50% of the total energy capacity. But of course, there are challenges. So we are deeply dependent on solar panels from imports, particularly China, and the domestic production is not able to keep in place. So this is something which we have to address. Now I'll talk about the Value's global ambitions. So we have in 2019, 49.6 metric tons of CO2, which is coming from scope 1 and 2, scope 2 and scope 3. I'll explain a little more detail in the subsequent slides. So this is, scope 1 and 2 comes from the operations. Scope 3 upstream comes from the suppliers or the supply chain, and scope 3 downstream comes from the products or the end use of the products. Now, you have to see this whole chain, value chain, that is step 1 to step 6. So step 1 is the production of production of raw materials, manufacturing of purchased components, and the shipping of these raw materials. So these 3, the step 1, 2, 3 forms the scope 3 upstream, that is nothing but the supply chain. And the middle 4 is the production in our plants, which is scope 1 and scope 2. And then the end use of the product in the vehicles is scope 3 downstream. So we need to, so in simple terms, it's input, process, and output. So we need to address the entire ecosystem to achieve the carbon neutrality targets. Now we are aligning to adapt global sustainability targets for our Indian plants and our supplier partners. So for this, we are developing products that are relevant to Indian market. And also we are fostering the spread of sustainability for in the industry, in the local industry. Now, if you see the worldwide contribution of CO2 emissions from automotive, it is almost 18%, which is very, very significant. So we need to address this very, very urgently. In the last 10 years, we have invested on electrification products. You can see this on the right-hand side, the value of products for electrification. We address the four-wheeler, two-wheeler, and three-wheeler market with all these different products, the e-motors, inverters, onboard chargers, DC-DC converters, which is part of the powertrain systems, and also the thermal system, which is battery cooling, coolant e-heaters, high voltage electric compressor, heat pumps, etc. So these products are available in the global portfolio. We are bringing these products to India. You can see one example, we are addressing the Indian market. We are bringing the 48-volt solution, e-motor, e-powertrain for the three-wheelers. Now coming to the green energy in our plants. So we have two steps. One is the power purchasing agreements with the power producers of wind energy or solar energy, and also self-production at the site. So in Chennai plants, we are having 90% of our energy consumed from wind energy. So we are buying wind energy for our Chennai manufacturing plants. And solar, we have signed an agreement to implement in June 2023, where we will cover 50% of our energy needs by solar. And in our Gujarat Sanand plant, we have solar panels installed in the roof, panels which covers 30% of the energy needs. Now, coming to the particular operations, so we need to have the culture in the plant, in our shop floor, with our employees. So we have gone for ISO 50001 energy management certification for all our plants, besides the ISO 14001. So this way we can spread the culture and seriousness of this energy management and having efficiency in energy management. So we have several projects running, from small to big projects with small investment projects. Like for example, refurbishment of machines with the high efficiency motors, go for high efficiency compressors, go for LED, we went for 100% LED in our plants, motion sensors in the office areas, solar street lights. So these are the few examples I'm giving you. Then in terms of logistics, which is part of the scope 1 and scope 3 upstream, which I mentioned. So we have the internal transportation for employee shuttles, where we have replaced the old vehicles, old buses with new BS6 vehicles, and also we are doing a pilot run with the CNG buses. And also we have some of the employee shuttles with electric cars. And then we are also asked all our suppliers to migrate to the new vehicles, scrap or sell the old vehicles and go to the BS6 version. And also in the small commercial vehicles, we want to go for the electric vehicles. These challenges can be not handled globally. We need to engage with the local players to handle the challenges locally. So we are working hand in hand with the industry associations. We are carrying out physical audits with our local consultants, and also relaying the disclosure support and skills improvement through our local supply chain. And it is this cascading of this carbon neutrality targets to suppliers is one of the biggest challenges. And we have assessed 80% of our Value India suppliers, and we have rolled out the kits for the suppliers to understand in depth on this carbon neutrality, how do we measure and how we need to adapt and how we need to deploy these in the companies. So we need to make sustainability in India, including also our imports from, especially from South Asia. The next challenge is to bring the circularity as a model practice. So this I'll be showing you in the subsequent slide, where we need to have this 4 R's of part of the circular economy in place. Then how do we assess our maturity level of suppliers? So we have 4 levels: level 0, level 1, level 2, level 3. So level 0 means this carbon footprint is still not measured. And level 1 is scope 1, scope 2, scope 3. The entire chain is measured. And then level 2 is that the suppliers are in line with our value targets to achieve the targets of 2030. And level 3 means they achieve their target level 2050 targets. Now coming on the 4 R's of the circular economy. So this is part of our system or process where we encourage remanufacturing. That means the end product, which has gone out of life, we bring it back and we make it as good as new by replacing the worn out parts. We repair the electronics and see that the e-waste is reduced. Sorry. Yeah, and then we also do the recycling of use the recycled materials for our parts, whether it is plastics or steel. And then we also need to go for robust design. For example, if we produce a product which has a life cycle of say 50,000 kilometers or 50,000 cycles, we should enhance the life cycle by 20% or even double it, so that the end use is longer. There's a longer lifetime of the products. Now coming to this is a long road for us to go. So we are also engaging with several institutions. We had this World Bank regional offices presentations in Delhi, contribution at World Public Buses Convention. We also had a presentation of value strategy with the industries, then EU delegation in Delhi. And also we have projects for the frugal vehicle electrification. And we had a demonstration in Kochi, Kerala. So these are, and also EU in India engagement on the frugal vehicles. So this picture clearly says that, you know, we need to support the environment, and the environment will support us. So, you know, I just remembered a joke about ATM. You know, in a small ATM, there is 2 ACs and 4 tube lights and printing cash, and it gives a receipt, save the planet. So, so we need to be serious about, you know, this carbon neutrality, reducing CO2 emissions with real actions. Now, as you can see, we have a very long way to go to achieve the carbon neutrality. We can achieve this by collaborative effort from the government, institutions, and industry, and it is possible. So we need to act now to reduce CO2 emissions, and also it is urgent to have concrete actions to save our planet. Thank you very much.